adulthood responsibility, and future planning. As siblings age, many step into advocacy or caregiving roles. This episode explores evolving relationships, boundaries, and shared responsibility. Bruce Wolfe is a dedicated board member of Life Services Alternatives, inspired by his sister Hillary, a resident of Hatikva House. His connection to LSA is deeply personal and rooted in his commitment to Hillary's well-being and future. Bruce serves on the board of LSA and helps guide the organization's mission, thoughtfulness, and care. The Wolfe's family support extends across generations, including Bruce's brother, Merrick, and their parents, all of whom have contributed philanthropically to LSA's work. Their father, Harvey Wolfe, previously shared a board of director role at SARC, or San Andreas Regional Center, and has supported the IDD community. Thank you so much for joining us, Bruce. It's good to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And because of these types of talks that we're having, we're really interested in getting to know all of what goes into advocacy for someone who has IDD. And as we understand, and we've been understanding in some of the talks we've had, there's the perspective of the sibling. And as I understand, your late father has recently passed, as well as your mother. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm so very sorry to hear that.
Thank
My condolences to you and your family. For your family, how was that transition for you, transitioning into a full-time conservator or advocate for Hillary?
So it was an adjustment. Hillary and my parents were very close.
Of course.
And they provided a lot of attention to her, which allowed my brother and I to, kind of live our lives. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the values that we grew up with. Mm-hmm. But, after my father passed, my mom had dementia, so her ability to communicate and initiate wasn't so good. So Merrick and my brother and I kind of stepped up, and do that. And we're continuing to do it and provide for her all her needs at this point.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that. What was it like for you growing up in New York, as I understand?
Yes.
How was your experience growing up?
I wouldn't say quite idyllic, but It was definitely a really good experience growing up, looking back. And I probably wouldn't have changed it. There was plenty of challenges, both family and personally. We had fortunate to have a great-grandfather who left a summer house upstate New York, which we enjoyed our weekends at and summers at. It's kind of like if you ever seen the movie Avalon, which is kind of a coming to America of Jewish immigrants and making kind of a life and maintaining the culture, Jewish culture. It was similar to that.
Yeah. And I mean, and thank you for sharing that. As I understand, it was 3 siblings, you, Merrick, Hillary.
Yes.
And because you had Jewish culture and it sounds like a beautiful setting or backdrop to your upbringing, how did someone with IDD blend into that, in your opinion, blend into that tapestry? Well,
like I said, our folks were very good providers, especially for Hillary. She was born when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
So I was already somewhat, showing a lot of independence at the time.
Okay.
And my parents trusted me with her to babysit, change her diapers and all that stuff, feed her and what have you. So I learned quite a bit about child rearing.
Okay.
Being cognizant enough at 10 years old and not quite full of myself yet.
Oh.
And so, but it was, definitely an adjustment. And then finding out that she had IDD, learning about how all that worked and what the condition was about, that kind of thing. And still, there's not a whole lot that they know about the condition, just that it exists, and they can only kind of track it by the way of history, people's histories, of how they live their lives and manage through it. So, it didn't disrupt my life, day to day that much that I cared, that it did. But I think later on, as I got through adolescence, I became, much more independent. It became less and less of a responsibility for me and my brother. My parents really didn't want us to have to be, what's a good word for it? Didn't want to have additional responsibilities. They wanted us to be free to kind of, grow and grow into adulthood.
Yeah. And I know that we're attempting to get your brother to come on to this second half of the episode. And so I can't wait to hear his perspective. But if I were to look at your life now and you looking back, do you feel like those moments, that space that your parents gave you, helped form who you are today?
Absolutely.
How so?
I think without providing the space for, and I'll just speak for myself, for me to develop into the person I am, make the mistakes, struggle through the challenges, and all the victories too, and everything I wanted to do, I think it was a very healthy way to go about it.
And if I always do this exercise with someone who I'm interviewing, depending on what we're talking about, but I think it fits in this context. If you were to objectively speak and you would talk about that time period where your parents gave you space all the way up till yesterday, and you had 3 headlines that were going to be splashed over the newspapers about you, what would those 3 headlines be?
It's hard for me to think of myself.
Right?
It is. It's hard.
Take a moment. Let's see the last however many years.
I would say successful in endeavors, in my endeavors. I mean, I can't think of it as a headline, like big splashy thing. It's too egotistical for me.
No. Yeah, that's part of why we love you at LSA.
I just, I think, accomplished martial artist, and I would say creative audio engineer.
And I really appreciate you sharing that. There's some people who their loved ones have just gotten this diagnosis for a brother or sister, and figuring out what that means for their family, what it could mean for their family.
I think that we're in an absolutely great time for people to get information and education, because there has been quite a bit of study, at least for my sister's condition. There's been quite a bit of study and a lot of history now since she was first diagnosed with it, which was around the time that it was kind of being named and labeled. So I think there's been a lot of good effort among a lot of physicians and teaching universities and hospitals around to have some and organizations, advocacy organizations, to be educated about these conditions. That I think it's really helpful, and I think organizations like LSA. I mean, there are more organizations than ever before, like LSA, and that provide not so much niche support and services, but needed support.
That's right.
And yeah, I think it's just makes the whole experience, much more helpful. I mean, I don't feel that families are feeling quite, I hate to use the word burden, but it really is the word, okay? Because it is very tough to put your life on hold, and it's disruptive. And so any ability to acquire or obtain resources to be able to relieve the tension and the anxiety and the emotions around, and also the unknowns.
Yeah.
It really helps people find a trajectory forward.
What I like instead of, and yes, and what I like to use instead of burden is challenge. Because burden implies, like you said, relief. But I think challenge is you can overcome those obstacles, whatever the challenge is. And to say that there isn't a burden or a challenge would be, it would be a disservice to someone's lived experience.
Mm-hmm.
So we are at time for your particular segment, and we're hoping the next voice that you hear is Merrick's. But for sake of time, if Hillary was writing a headline about her big brother, if she could write it, can you give us a one-liner to close us out on what she would say? Or what you'd hope she would say?
Boy, that's a hard one. I would say that it would be, I'm very proud of my brother Bruce. I think that's what she says that, and I think that's what she would probably say.
Thank you for sharing, Bruce, and thank you for coming on the program today.
Mm-hmm.
We've enjoyed Bruce's honesty and his vulnerability. And we also want to thank you, our listeners, and our sponsors for engaging us, for watching, and for listening, and also for continuing to share these messages as they're really, really important. Thank you again to all of our guests on this series. Please be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. And if you haven't seen the other ones, go back and watch them. They're full of joy, laughter, and some really cool stories. Thanks again for watching. Thank you again to Bruce, our guest.
Sure.
That's it for now. Take care. Bye-bye.